42 yards. Is this Laban Marsh the second?
Amen.
Back to pass again. He rolls towards his right. He's looking deep for George Siegel. He's got a touchdown for the Trojans. Simonelli's got one man to beat. John Fowler gets part of him. Gets him turned around, and Simonelli is going to score all the way from his 35-yard line. Kenny Law rolling to his left. Nowhere to throw it. And
What a hit!
My.
What a hit!
Well, you know, first of all, I think it was a tremendous season. To go and win whatever it is, 36 games and 37 games in 3 years with these kids and only lose 5 times and make it to the Western Finals 3 straight years. It's a real credit to the seniors, and they've made our coaching lives and our lives in general very enjoyable over the last 3 years. And I think it's a credit to them and a credit to their fellow players, the underclassmen, over the last several years of what they've been able to achieve. The kids before them really taught them how to do it right, and they obviously learned how to do it right. And our hopes are that everything, their legacy that they've left is going to be here behind for our younger guys to kind of carry the torch, so to speak, and to move on and keep the tradition, you know. So I couldn't be prouder with this group of seniors and everything they've accomplished.
This past season, you know, is a big success. Even though we lost the game, even though we would have liked to have gone to the state finals, we ended up coming up a little bit short. But you know, it's one of our best seasons. I'm glad it was my senior year.
I thought it was a real good season. We came up a little bit short in the end. That's not what I was planning on. I had goals set senior year. I planned on this. Went through it 2 times already. We came up short, and I was hoping this was a year, but it came up a little short. But I was pleased with the season after it all. I had a lot of good time with a lot of my friends and made a lot of good friendships, but we played hard, and you know, things happen in the playoffs.
Well, it's real nice to, you know, it all pays off. I mean, it's not like at the end of the year it's not, you know, it's not a bad thing because you put so much work into it through the summer, through the off season lifting and stuff. And then to come out and to go to the Western Finals, it's just like it's all worth it, and it makes you feel great. And to play with the teammates I played against and the coaches, it's just a great feeling. And it's something that I can look back on for the rest of my life.
Well, you know, Aaron, as everybody knew, was a very good football player from the year before as a junior, playing wide receiver and defensive back. But in my wildest dreams, I'm not sure that I even knew that Aaron would be as productive as he was for us. Like you've just said, he not only offered up about somewhere around 2,200 yards of offense. If you go into all-purpose yards with some returns in that, it's probably more like 2,500 yards or so, which is a lot of offense into your football team. I thought he had a great year as a quarterback. Unfortunately for him, fortunate for us, he had to make a position change. I think he really got to showcase how versatile of an athlete and how much of a leader, though, that he was as our quarterback. And I don't think there's any question we wouldn't have got as far as we did without Aaron at quarterback. So we're real happy with that choice.
Yeah, he's a great player. I mean, it's great to have a quarterback that can pass the ball as well as run the ball. I mean, he's such a threat running the ball. You gotta, you know, defense has got to come in looking down to shut down the draw, you know, quarterback draw and the option play. But then when you shut that down, then he'll pass the ball on you for over 100 yards. So he's just a great asset to have on your team. And then he plays defense as well, just as good as anybody.
You know, I feel like that I'm blessed just to be a part of something that's so pure and so wonderful. Our line, you know, our teammates this year, our senior class was just, you know, you can't say enough good things about them. I would have missed out if I wouldn't have came here.
What had happened is I had fumbled the ball, which was a regular occurrence for me, and then I looked up after I picked up the ball, and the only thing I could see was Slocum. So I started following Slocum so he could set up a few blocks for me. And then I made a cut to shake one defender off, and my knee had popped. And so I just kept running, and then I tried to make another cut to shake another defender, and I was in too much pain. And then they just wrapped me up and clobbered me. I've been waiting my turn for a couple of years, and I've just been sitting back, waiting and waiting. I knew that I was supposed to be the showcase back in this area. That's what I wanted. Those were my goals.
Now here was a case where you got one of the best backs in the entire area that had to play behind one of the best backs ever at McDowell in Laban Marsh. And Joe was primed for the season. He was ready to go. We'd already lost in preseason Jeff Peters, who is a great football player. We'd lost Donnie Glover, who we think is a very, very good football player. And now it's to Joey as our leading tailback candidate in strong safety. And he was performing. He was really starting to get into full stride. He was really starting to perform by the time that Du Bois game came around, and then unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury. But my biggest thing about Joe now, as we sit here and talk, and it's 6 months from that time he was operating on, is how proud I am that he has worked through that, worked past his injury, regained a lot of his confidence, and even though his football season was shattered with an injury, along with those other guys I mentioned, he was able to enjoy the season with his friends, which is really what it's all about, and he was able to recover and have an excellent track season with a lot of success, even though he didn't perform maybe at his personal best levels. He's almost back to that. So I have nothing but a lot of admiration and good things to say about Joe Simonella and the way he's stuck to it and the way he's performed.
We definitely had to restructure the backfield because he's a great back and he was like one of our star players. But we had another one, Nick Mihal. He came in, stepped in, did a great job. Myself picked it up, and Slocum had to pick up a lot of the slack too. So we worked good as a team.
I'm a different type of back than he is. I'm more of a harder runner, and he's more of a little fancy. He's got more speed to him. It was a lot of the short down or the short yardage we need. Like, it was critical that I got a lot of those. Sometimes I surprised a lot of people with the longer runs. As in the Upper St. Clair game, I came out of nowhere. Before then, all season, I really didn't get a whole lot of opportunities to get outside, but finally they just busted one open. That's what happens when eventually you'll get one.
Our schedule was pretty packed this year. I know a lot of, like, prep usually says their schedule's so tough, but I think we had probably one of the toughest schedules around. The Ursuline game, obviously, that was kind of a shock. We were coming down, and, you know, Ursuline's always a tough component, and beating them the way we did was just, I didn't expect that going down there. And the Central and the Hollidaysburg games, we never let any the opponents, you know, like, look us like down. Put us down or anything, but I think the Du Bois game was probably one of the ones I'll remember, because when we lost Joey, that kind of, you know, put it in the back of our mind. You know, everyone's got to step up, and I think Nick Mihal, Ryan, and everyone else did a great job stepping up when we lost him.
I feel that game was one of our best games fundamentally. We executed well on offense and did everything we were supposed to do on defense. That was one of our better games.
One of my best games was the State College game. I think it really put us in. It was near the end of the season. It put us into the mood for the rest of the season into the playoffs. We played real hard. We had the back from Larry Johnson from State College. He was really good, and we knew we had something tough to go up against. He was probably the best back we're going to see all year, and our defense did real well. Offense, we put points on the board, and we did what we had to do. Coach Cashone did a wonderful job. He knows what he's doing, and he put us out in the field. He told us he was going to be good, probably the best back we're going to see. And he was right, he was good. But as soon as we decided to come out and hit him, we came out and did exactly what he said, and by the second quarter, he pretty much didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, I think, first of all, credit to that goes to all the coaches, the assistants that put the game plan together and got their guys coached up, and then got the kids to believe that they were against one of the best backs in the state, one of the best backs in the United States. And he was. He's going to Penn State as a big-time recruit. But as far as shutting him down at, I think it was 24 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I would not have thought that we were going to do that. But as the game wore on, I could see that we were in total command of things up front on offense and defense. And actually, not only defensively, we played very well offensively, but unfortunately misfired on about 3 other occasions down in deep, or I think the game is iced and put away a lot sooner. I remember on our first drive taking it down in deep and not getting anything out of it, and then a couple of other times we were down in deep. So maybe one of our best overall games from all aspects, and especially defensively, to shut down a kid like Larry Johnson.
My role on the team was, just to go on. I wanted to be confident as I could. I tried to get the guys fired up, and I like to get my kickoffs deep, maybe in the end zone, if not really high in hang time. And they put me in some pressure positions, and I just wanted to come through, either be punting, kickoffs, or field goals. And I had some big field goals over my career, but I think that was my role, just to do my job. Yeah, the DuBois game was one of the longest of my career, was the 43-yarder one, which I also tied that in the Hollidaysburg game. So yes, I had 2 the longer field goals.
Not really that surprising because, everyone gets ready to play McDowell because of the tradition that we've built here. So when the game was close, we didn't really we just kept it to ourselves. We knew what we had to do, and we knew that we were going to get the job done.
It's a real shame that the Metro League itself now is sort of, in a sense, defunct. But on the other hand, the 2 games are so meaningful because it's whether you're going to make it into the playoffs or not, into the districts, and whether you'll have the opportunity to advance to the state playoffs. I was really impressed with both Central and Cathedral Prep in their preparation for us and how hard their teams played. And our kids, it's tough to beat people one time, let alone beat people twice. And our kids have been able to achieve that over the last few years against some of those teams. I think the competitiveness of the 3 football programs is maybe, even though we've enjoyed being on top the last few years, the competitiveness of all 3 programs is maybe at an all-time high. I don't think anybody's sliding. I think everybody's still rising. I know in looking at the future, with the 2 coaching changes at the other schools, it's going to be unfortunate to lose those other coaches that have gone, but it's kind of a breath of fresh air, and it's going to be something that'll repump those 2 programs a little higher. So we know that in the future, things are even going to get tougher for us. But 2 great games against Central, highlighted probably by a very tough District 10 game, remembering Robbie Greiger taking the ball about 80 yards against them to break the game open. And against Prep, I thought we did a great job the whole game. They threw the ball very well on us, but we were able to fire up some offense, and Aaron Slocum, I know, had a big game, and I recall one of the big plays was Ryan Irvin's interception for a TD that helped ice the game there late. But great rivalries against 2 great programs, and probably going to see a lot more of them in the future.
I enjoyed everything at Prep. I liked it a lot, but I just thought that it was time for a change for me. So I came to McDowell. I got in good with the players and the coaches, and everything worked out from there. Well, it was a great play. I mean, I played against Jim Gemler back in their quarterback for Prep. I played against him when I was in 8th grade too, and I picked him off a couple times in the championship game in parochial league. But it was just a play where their hot receiver was Ryan Natupski. I knew that, and I knew he was looking to throw to him, and he ran a little slant pattern, and I could read Gemler's eyes pretty good, so I just stepped in front of the ball, and luckily, I was able to get into the end zone after that.
Prep game I played rather well. I had a couple interception and a couple key runs in the game. They played us tough, which we expected. It's a rival in the Metro and everything. But it was probably one of the more important games, just with the Metro and the way the playoffs would come out of it, because we ended up going undefeated in the Metro, coming out with the best seed for the District 10 playoffs, which helped us out. So we got a bye there, which got us rested up and everything. So I think it was a real critical game.
I think you might be witnessing what is one of the best rivalries in the state right now. I'm not, even though we're, whatever it is, 200 and some miles apart, I'm not too sure it's not a bigger rivalry than Prep now. simply because we know how good they're going to be and try to be and how hard they play. And I think the setting for the game, too, you know, it's what I call, Altoona's a big town, but it's a one-horse town. It's a one-school town. There's a lot of people. That's their team. It'd be like if Erie had one team. And, you know, it takes you back to the heydays of Pennsylvania football and Butler and Newcastle and those places that still exist out in the East End around Pittsburgh and that it's just, that's the school, that's the town, that's Friday night. And they take great pride, and they've done a nice job of building their program. The 2 football games that were played at Altoona, the 9th game that we lost in, which was a great football game, and the playoff game in the state quarterfinals was probably the 2 most physical football games that I think I've ever seen 2 teams play against each other, at least that I've coached against. I've never witnessed the physicalness. I've seen us dominate people, and I've seen us get dominated by physical football teams, but you put 2 physical football teams together like that, it was like 2 trains meeting in the night, you know, and it was a vicious, well-played, vicious football game. It was like a war. I read that in the paper that some fan had put in there. It was like watching World War III, and that's how intense it was. And I'm so proud of our guys that we played well in both games. We knew after the first game that we played well, but we didn't play well enough to win. And that was a simple fact. There was no crying about it. Our undefeated season was taken away from us. We felt like we gave it away. But there was no time to waste harboring on that. And I mean immediately when the game was over, there was a respect that they beat us, shake their hands, give them their due, and let's move on through the playoffs and maybe try to get back here again. And that's exactly what we did.
Both our Altoona games were very hard-fought games. You know, that really could have gone either way both times. I thought we played better up front. I thought in our first game we had the most yards rushing. Just couldn't finish a couple things. But we learned from that and came back for the second time to win and to move on to the Western Finals.
The best game we played was the second game against Altoona. It was a great game for both teams. I mean, it was just the kind of game that you would want to be, you know, a witness to. And it was a great game, so that was probably our best game.
It would probably have to be the second Altoona game. I remember reading the Altoona paper, the game when we lost, and Ed Dalton, the coach for Altoona, said that the kicking game was the reason why they won last time. They said that their kicker out-kicked me, out-punted me, and their kickoffs were better. So that kind of, in personal mind, that kind of fired me up, and all week I was motivated. And when I hit that field goal, I kind of looked over at Altoona side just to get a little payback. So that was probably the biggest game of the year.
One of our toughest games of the year, of course, the Altoona game, both of them. They were both real physical, and it was just a hard-fought game. One time they took advantage of us with the win. The second time, when it counted, we took care of, we got our job done.
Oh yeah, I mean, the past 2 years, since the ties with Ed Dalton from Prep, you know, Prep's always going to be the rivalry for McDowell. I mean, that's just something that's gone way back. But I think with the Allegheny Conference, which is just as big as a Metro, I think Altoona is just, because they're so good, is becoming a big rival for us.
There's a lot of good competition with Hollidaysburg and State College and Altoona. Altoona's always going to be tough. They're always going to play us tough. State College has got a lot of talent down there. Hollidaysburg has its off and on years, but they'll be strong. And then we got Central in it, so that's a little around the area. So I think it's probably one of the best things they can do is that way not only do we have the Metro to play for, but we have also the Allegheny Conference to play for during the season.
We felt like those 2 big plays, and then there was a couple of mistakes in our kicking game, and then more importantly, we really failed on some golden opportunities offensively. You know, when you hold a very good football team to 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, you should still have an opportunity to win the game if your offense is functioning. You know, I learned a long time ago, I think you can win a lot of high school games if you score 3 touchdowns a game, and I think you can win most of your football games if you score 4 touchdowns a game. And we just misfired. You know, we misfired down in deep several opportunities and didn't get it done. But the guys that were maybe responsible for some of those errors You know, I can still see our D-backs coming off the field when that happened. But my fondest memory is talking to those guys in the locker room after the second game, and they had redeemed themselves. And that's really what sports are all about, and that's what life is all about. You know, I mean, we told them, don't dwell on it. Those things happen. There's guys that make $2 million a year that do that every Sunday in front of people, millions of people. So why worry about it? That's part of the game just as much as making a great play is. Sometimes the not-so-great play appears. So for those same guys to come back and make great plays, the second game was more important to me than what happened in that first game.
It would have been nice to go to the state final, but again, with what we've done and what we've accomplished the past 3 years, you know, I'm not disappointed.
This year going into the playoffs for me was pretty much just being a fan. The only difference was I was on the 50-yard line with the team, pretty much my family. I felt for them. I really did. I thought that they could do it, and I knew they would. So I just sat there and knew that they would execute like they should have.
Well, it was real hard both years, coming so close and losing. But it's nothing you can hang your head about. I mean, when you go 11-2 last year and then 13-1, there's nothing to be ashamed about. And I'm sure everybody on the team wasn't ashamed. I mean, I'm sure everybody would wanted to go to the state finals, and that was our goal. But to go to the Western Finals for 2 straight years, 3 years in 95, but it's just, you know, it's a great feeling to do something like that, and it's a great accomplishment.
The first year was kind of like, it was a new thing for McDowell. The whole school had never experienced a Western Final before, so after we saw Penn Hills, it was like, we knew that we came across someone that we couldn't compete with, I don't think. But the past 2 years, I think we could have made it, especially last year with all, you look back at the opportunities we had, maybe some of the things that went wrong in that game. I think we kicked ourselves in the foot in the game this year, but you know, just a chance to play in 3 Western Finals was just something that like a lot of kids don't get the chance to do, and it made our high school football career a memorable one.
Well, last year we had that drive at the end that got stopped with that interception, but that was definitely disappointing. We felt like we had that game won, but we just couldn't get the job done when it counted. Just like this year, we had the game in our grasp to just take it and win it, and we just couldn't get the job done. So it's kind of disappointing, but we had great seasons.
You know, we talked about this season, before this season, about last season, meaning the Woodland Hills game, and about how we had to be better prepared down in deep, and sometimes you don't really think. There's things that get by you as a coach, and maybe when times are really getting pressed and you need your last 3 plays of the game kind of a deal or something, those aren't things you don't want to just pull out of your hat. Those are things that you needed to be a little more organized with. And we felt like this time around, this season, that we had better choices in on the goal line. Unfortunately, we didn't get the job done. You know, the first time down against St. Clair, we had a heck of a drive, and Aaron got a little careless and threw an interception at the 3. And then Ryan got a little careless, and the ball comes out in a controversial call, whether the ball was really out or not, but the fact was it was loose, and you might have a call go against you. But beyond all that, both of those games we had chances to win a football game. And as we always tell our players, it's really not, if you think about winning and losing while you're out there, it's a lost cause. You're going to malfunction. And the only thing that really matters at the end of the game is whether you can honestly critique how well you performed. And I think we performed very well in those 2 football games, showed a lot of character, and showed that we may have been the better team in a couple of those games. But we didn't. If you don't do it when it matters, you don't deserve to win it. You can, and that's just the way I am, and that's the way I want our players to be. That we felt we performed as hard as we possibly could. There were a couple times where we just didn't perform quite as good as we're capable of. And unfortunately, when you're under the microscope, you know, those are the things that some people will remember as where the game got away. But there were so many great things about the season as a whole and even within those games that are far beyond losing a football game, the memories that we all have, and being able to do that 3 years in a row, and what these kids will remember, you know, that they have a lot different memories than I do. There's probably a lot of stories that I don't know about the seasons, but I know it's probably the finest 3 years, again, back to back to back, that I ever remember coaching in, and I'll remember it for as long as I live. I would personally like to thank them for everything that they've done physically, and everything that they've done, the time commitment they've given. And more importantly, like I said, I think that they've carried the torch. They've continued the legacy and helped build the tradition of McDowell football. And anybody that's been around and seen these guys and know these guys personally know how important football has been to them and how important our football program has been to them. And my message to the young guys, the underclassmen that follow them, is just pay attention to the way they've done things. Not just this senior group, but all the kids that have been before them. And I would hope that they'll be able to at least attempt to do all the things the right way. And that if they do that, that's all that we will ask. And I think that McDowell football kind of continue to flourish here as we move into the new millennium.
It was such an easy transition, being able to come here right away and play, and and then end up like this. I credit the McDowell people and just everybody around for helping me with that.
Don't regret a single thing about it. It was a great experience. Made a lot of friends, and it was discipline and everything else. It gave me a lot. I'm really proud that I did it.
As I look back going through all the Mill Creek schools, pretty much when you're at a young age, they get you ready for high school football. It's really been like a father to me.
Oh, it's been a great playing for Mill Creek in this community. All the parents, all the coaches, all the fans, they've been great to me for my 2 years being here. They made me feel very welcome when I came here. Coming from prep, you might not expect that, but they did. And it's just been great playing for them, and it's something that I can look back on for a long time.
The past 2 years were just we were about the same age, so it was kind of, we just gelled together, and I think they really helped out, like friendships over the years.
Last year was my best season, because it's a season I always remember, because I was one of the team captains, one of the leaders that everyone looked up to. And I remember when I was younger, we all looked up to someone else. So I was that person.
Back to pass. And that's intercepted by number 24, Nick Mihal. He has blockers in front, and he is going to score. Slocum's going to pass the ball, though. He's looking. He's got Irvin wide open. Irvin comes off the ball about the 20. It's a race to the end zone, and he will win. Back to pass, looking towards the corner, finds John Fowler, and he will score. Touchdown, Trojans. A great fade pattern run by Fowler and a great pass by Slocum. They open up the playbook, and 7 points go on the board.
In the Du Bois territory. Slocum keeps it, cuts up the middle, has a first down. He's going to race in for a Trojan touchdown. At the horn, the Trojans on the leg of Jeff Heil. 43-yard field goal attempt is good as time runs out here in the first half. Slocum, play action, drops back, has a man wide open again. It's Nevin Baker at the 20, and he's going to jump into the end zone for a Trojan touchdown.
Makes a defender miss who had him for a sack. Again makes another one miss, and that should be a penalty right there. Slocum going to his right, finds George Siegel in the flat. Siegel breaks a tackle, breaks a couple more, and he is going to be gone. George Siegel for another down.
What a great hit to give Spring him loose.
And Tusky from about his own 2. Oh, and a nice hit.
Oh, what a hit.
Back to pass. Looking for the Tusky, and it's intercepted by Ryan Irvin. Number 4 was ready to move in front. Irvin is going to score a touchdown. Trojan, a great interception. And then
Slocum gives up the middle to Rob Reiger. Pass runs to the 40. He's across the 50. It's going to be a foot race. You see it